Today let's get real about the studio space. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For everyone who's new here, I'm Eva, I'm a painter and printmaker specializing in Scottish landscapes. Today I wanted to talk about the studio space. And this is not just going to be a long talk, I will definitely show you the studio that I'm currently working in. Now, the reason why I wanted to touch upon this subject is that I have the feeling personally that we're so used to seeing all those very well established artists all working from absolutely huge, perfect studio spaces where everything is in its right place, where everything is perfect, neat and extremely tidy. Studios that are nearly the size of a whole apartment. And frankly, yeah, we're so used to celebrating each other's huge successes, especially on social media, that we not only forget about the journey up to this point, but also that this is not the conditions that everyone is working in. And I'm afraid that this has gotten to a point where having or not having a studio space for an artist, a painter, whatever, might actually be considered as being an obstacle to really go out there and start putting your work out there, get creative and pretty much get to work. This of course goes hand in hand with prejudice, where people might consider that whether you have a studio or you don't might be like a measure for how successful and therefore how professional you are. And I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely not the case. And to put my money where my mouth is, I will give you a complete tour of my studio space and tell you how I'm working, in which conditions, and how it does impact or not the way that I'm creating. So before we get to it, and I actually take you on a tour and show you everything around, I wanted to lift the curtain and lift the veil on this huge secret. That is, I am working out of my flat and it absolutely does not impact me in any way. I do not feel encumbered by it. All that you have to do is to organize yourself intelligently and create the best space that you can to work the best you can. Now let me tell you that I've considered more than once renting out a studio space in order to this be the space entirely dedicated to the only purpose of me doing my artworks. And while the idea seemed tempting, I came to the conclusion that I did not need it for two reasons. The first one being the space necessity. Is it nice to have a lot of space for every material, every type of technique, everything that you need? Yes. But do you need it in absolute terms? Like, for instance, if I were to do paintings that are 2 by 2 meters, I think this is the moment when, were I to do it at home, I think I would not have a husband anymore. Or we would not be living together at any rate. So yes, it would not be very practical. I would need a standalone easel in order to do so. I would not be able to walk around the whole thing within the apartment. And I simply do not have that many clients who are into bigger scale works. I will show you later on, but I mean, I do have bigger scale paintings that are, I don't know, maybe 60 by 110 or something like that, and I still can make it work from home. So there is no real need in terms of space. The second reason, the price factor. And I'm not saying a price factor in terms of I would not be able to afford that and it would not be reasonable. You have to also consider the business side of things. You are already spending money on oil paints, on canvases, on like mediums, brush cleaners, brushes, and let me tell you, none of these are cheap. So you have the materials that you use. You have your own time that is going into the process of creation of paintings, and especially with oils, there is a lot of time invested in this because you have drying down times. It is not acrylic where you can basically within a day create a finished piece. You are working in a lot of layers. You have to let them dry down a little bit in between. You have varnishing times, stuff like that. So time, the materials, and at the end of the day, if you want to live off of what you're doing, you have to factor all those expenses in it in order to be able to cover all the costs and also earn you money to be able to live off of it. So were you to rent a studio, you would have to incorporate this into the cost factor. You would have to either sell more or sell them even at a higher price point in order to not feel your expenses for the studio, right? And my thinking here was, I mean, we do all know that the economy is pretty bad right now, that prices are on the rise, that in France, for instance, the job market is not really good. So people are not really keen on spending a lot of money on art, because however we ourselves might be involved in making our artwork, we do need to remember that art is a luxury good, that art is not a living necessity. I'm not obviously saying here that art is not important. I'm just saying that this is obviously not as important as food or paying your rent or paying your medical bills and stuff like that. So I simply cannot justify getting my prices up in order to find it reasonable to pay for a studio. And this is what you have to remember when anyone tries to make you feel bad about the fact that you are working out from your flat. It's not the studio that makes the artist, okay? And this is where it gets interesting for me, because when you move out of the box where you are thinking that a studio is kind of an achievement or a symbol of status, but a space that gives you the opportunity to work the best you can, it all becomes about compromise. So what do you need and what type of space you need and what type of furniture and stuff like that in order to give you the opportunity to work as well as you can, right? And now I'm going to show you how I managed. Okay, and this is my studio space. This is actually literally the half of our living room. And I will not show you the living room because one has to have some privacy, right? But I will take you through the different areas, let's say, and what they are supposed to do for me. So let's start with the most important and central piece of it, which is this table. You have already seen me film here and paint here, and this is really the center of where I'm working. As you can see, this is an ordinary dining table that I, well, repurposed, let's say. And I obviously have to pack everything up and store it somewhere whenever we are expecting guests. So this is the biggest inconvenience maybe, but as we are not hosting that often, it's not really an issue for me, to be honest. As you can see, it has lived through a lot. It has been painted on, and let's see if I can show you. I have cut the mattings on the table as well, so it's been cut open. It has lived through crazy things and might need therapy at some point probably, but I mean, none of this matters when everything is stored away and covered up with a tablecloth, which is prettier anyway. So once again, this has never been an issue for me. So honestly, nothing really dramatic here, nothing that is really bothering me here. This is how compromise looks to me. Now, when it comes to Linos, this is the piece of furniture that is the most important one. Honestly, everything that I need for my lino prints is in here. And this is also what I talk about when I tell you that you have to make it work, and it's not necessarily a bad thing when it is in your apartment. You just need to find a way how to harmoniously integrate these types of functional furniture into your home. So this is why, I mean, I did not look for a professional furniture type of thing, but I just got it off the flea market. It was actually also quite a steal because it was advertised as being 19th century, but it was miscalculated, and it's actually Jacobean oak, which I got for like a fraction of its price, so it looks good in the apartment and it has everything that I need. So as you can see, let me zoom out here. This will, no, I can't. Never mind. Let's see if I can make it work. Nevertheless, you have 4 compartments, so 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. So this gives me enough of a flexibility in order to store everything. So on the left, let's see what we've got here. I have all the inks, the burn, the extender. Then I have a smaller tin box, whatever, for the different tools that I'm using in order to carve and mix the inks. Then I have some different tools that I'm mostly using in order to paint on candles. Everything fits in nicely. I have the register pins, okay, and yeah, those I've just put in there quite chaotically, otherwise they are all stored in this little satchel. Okay, and whenever I need to take everything out, as everything is in boxes, I just need to pull out the box and then put it back in and everything is fine. Now here on the right we have everything that I need in order to clean up my lino block station or printing station. So I have the soap that I can spray on the block, and I also have all those markers that I need in order to either sign the authenticity certificates or the prints. I've got Sharpies that I draw on the lino blocks, and everything is stored in the rest of what was a scented candle that I absolutely love. What else have we got? We have note and sketchbooks in here, which is really handy because I just need to open the cupboard and I have everything I need in order to make some notes if I have an idea or something. I've got sharpeners and just bits and bobs that are loose in here. Okay, now on the bottom now, please focus, dear camera. I have an old and battered box with everything acrylic that I hardly ever use. And on the bottom, all the lino blocks that are either already carved or new. We've got some paper, obviously, that I use as a protection between the lino block and the burn, sorry, between the paper and the burn, so it doesn't rub off the paper. And on the right, I have a box that I've painted on already, and these are like business cards and bits and bobs that I keep. We have one box with drawers like that where I keep the gouache in. Colored pencils, pastels and all types of paper that I use to draw on, as well as a small box with like masking tape and all other types of tape that I need in order to package the orders. So here's the corner that is maybe a little bit more problematic, because I have all the finished artwork stocked between the cupboard and the trunk, which obviously does not leave me with an awful lot of space, but for now it's all right, because basically these are all the finished artworks that are big enough in order to not fit into the trunk. So they are not very numerous. For now it works. This is not a problem. This all works out. On the other hand, you have the blank canvases that I still have in stock in order to create some new paintings. And this is a 17th century trunk that once again my husband got me from the flea market. It is huge and extremely heavy, but it is a quite aesthetic and practical way, I think, in order to stock everything that you do not need, like right this minute. It takes up space, but the top of it can be used as a space in order to either lay everything out, or like an inking station, or I don't know, it is nice to have this flat space as well, without having to resort to professional furniture that is wide and functional and not very pleasing, I believe myself. I don't know how useful it is to open up the trunk and show you. Everything that is in there has no real system, like other than, well, it takes up space, I store it in there, everything fits in. So basically, like, I don't know, like a stock of brush cleaners, some paper that I will need, finished artworks that are small enough in order to fit in there, prints, things like that. Last but not least, this part. So this is the only IKEA furniture that I have in my studio, but it is quite a small space between the radiator, the window and the couch that is on the left. So this is the only one that fit in and was the right size in order to enable me to stock everything that is related to printing and stuff. So wait, I show you. So I have some printed paper that is, well, some prints in the making, paper for test printing, Japanese paper. So I have enough of a plateau in order to leave it all there without it creasing or be folded or stuff. On the second shelf, these are the finished lino prints that are all already packaged, matted. Some smaller prints that I did of my artwork for the art fairs. And on the last shelf we have everything that is related to packaging, so some bigger envelopes for the lino prints, bubble wrap, my logo stickers for the orders, and then, you know, fragile and do not bend stickers that I plaster the packages with. And here is an enlarger that I, well, have stolen from my husband, really, because he's into photography, but he has, well, now quite a bunch of these, and I've stolen this one, let's say, to film, because the smaller format paintings that I do, it's easier for me to film them from above, so you don't see me, but you can clearly see the painting, so that I can attach the bull head of a tripod in here and the camera. So this is a very handy tool as well. And then finally, I would like to comment on the decoration, because I do feel like the studio space has to be not only very practical but also inspiring. It has to be the space where you feel comfortable to create your artwork, and this is why I keep so many bits and bobs on there. Like, you obviously have the top shelf of the cupboard where you have all the brushes and like classical tools, scissors, pencils, bigger brushes, stuff like that, but also always some kind of decoration. I am so in love with this candle holder that has a medieval aesthetics. I have a glass vase that is some sort of a Renaissance imitation, and yeah, it just brings joy to my heart. This is the aesthetics that I like. I have a photograph shot by my husband from a forest walk, and I really love this photo. I think it's so very atmospheric. I've also artwork from other artists that I support and I really love and that inspire me. For instance, one print of Edinburgh that I love, a print that is so autumnal to me that this is practically autumn in a print. Another print that I brought with me from my recent trips to the Lake District, which is so very typical. So this is a memory as well as decoration. Another print here that reminds me so much of Ireland. A lino print original from an artist and printmaker I absolutely love. I think she captured the roads in the UK so well with the hawthorn tree and like wet road, the bright starry sky. I love it. I can't explain it, but this makes my heart sing. And then finally, the pièce de résistance is an oil painting, which is a copy of a portrait of Mary Queen of Scots that I've started 3 years ago, and it's still not finished. Well, the figure is, but not the background. And I simply never came around on finishing that, but I think it just reminds me how far I've come and what I can do if I set my mind to it. So yeah. This is the space that, you know, jumpstarts my brain, jumpstarts my imagination, and it is very important that whenever I'm sitting at my desk here and painting, and then I look over and I see everything, all the other artwork, it just helps me so much with inspiration. And this is it for the studio tour, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. I really did want to do my bit in order to help people over some prejudice and, I don't know, blockage maybe related to working out from your flat and not having a proper rental studio in order to do your artwork. I do find this stupid. If you have the opportunity to divide your space at home and have a space that is dedicated to the purpose of you doing your art, I do think that in most cases this is enough. And if there are people out there who are watching this video who are maybe on the brink of like not starting out because they do not have the necessary space, just let me tell you that this is not a good enough reason. If you have some space that is your own and where you can comfortably do your art, do not let anything else stop you. And of course, this is an issue if you do need a large space in order to do the art that you want. If these are like large-scale sculptures or large-scale paintings, of course, this is not really on point. But in any other cases, honestly, do not let pragmatical questions like space or a studio stop you from doing what you love. In nearly every case, you can make it work. You simply do have to find the compromise that allows you to do what you want to do and what seems reasonable to you at the moment of your life that you're at. Don't let people bother you, don't let prejudice get in the way of your art, and it does not speak in the least to the quality of the artwork that you are producing. And I do think, at least in my case, that cutting costs at a studio is much more reasonable and client-friendly than cutting costs at materials. And let me tell you that I will never invest in bad paints or bad canvases or bad paper for lino prints, because this is the end result. This is the piece that your client or your collector will have forever. This is what your work is judged on. This you would want to make as good as it can get. And At the end of the day, who the hell cares where you produced the lovely piece that someone is going to cherish forever? As always, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I do hope to see you in my next video. Until then, have a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Cheers!